I'm Anne Barker, I'm a partner in the Norwich Land Agency team. My specialism is in the buying and selling of farmland, but I'm also heavily involved in helping farming businesses restructure. The agricultural industry is going through a period of significant change, with the basic payment scheme being phased out and new markets emerging in terms of the environmental and energy sectors. As an industry, we're trying to balance the demand for food with competition for land uses. This huge period of change is a good time for farm businesses and families to review the direction of their business, how they are structured, and what they want from their asset base longer term. And I'm going to talk through some of those issues today. We usually start at a very practical level. Who's involved in the management of the business? And how does this need to change going forward? What's the vision? Is everyone pulling in the same direction? What are the financial needs of the current generation, and can the business support that as well as the next generation coming in? Has the partnership agreement been reviewed recently? Does it need to be updated if another member of the family is coming into the business? And who will own the business going forward? These are often difficult discussions to have, but we're used to sitting down around the kitchen table or in the farm office and helping to focus the discussions, challenge and steer the family to come to the right conclusion to go forward. Succession planning also involves estate planning, by which we mean discussions around taxation and wills. In this scenario, we're always working with clients' other advisors, accountants and solicitors, but we can give first stage advice. We look at the family objectives, the farming business and the assets behind it. Inevitably, tax planning involves considering the availability of the various reliefs. Principally, we're talking about agricultural property relief and business property relief. We need to look really carefully at the ownership of the assets. Are they personally owned? Are they owned by a partnership? Are they in a company structure? Or are there some trusts behind the scenes that we need to consider? Often in this situation, tenancies pop up that perhaps haven't been thought about for a number of years, and they have an impact on a tax planning exercise. We look at a farmhouse and whether it's likely to qualify for agricultural property relief, and we consider any non-agricultural property on a farm. So I'm thinking in particular of areas that might have development potential, quantities of let cottages, or any farm diversification schemes that have taken place. We work with lots of farm businesses where family members are working together hugely successfully. But where the complication can sometimes arise is if there might be, for example, 3 siblings working together, but in the next generation there might be 7 or 8 family members, some of whom work on the farm, some are involved in agriculture but off the farm, some are involved in completely different industries. As those individual partners running the farm start to think about their own tax planning and the objectives for their children, this can sometimes cause difficulties. An opportunity to think about who's going to be involved in the management of the farm going forward. Can the business sustain all of those parties? And who's going to own the underlying assets? Often these types of discussions bring about the need to restructure and potentially divide a farm business between partners. We look at the individual parties' objectives and their requirements, and then consider how the farm might be divided on a basis that is fair and practical. We have to look at protecting and enhancing value. As with all of these discussions, it can be quite uncomfortable and difficult to navigate this process, but we're used to this, and working with an accountant and solicitor, we can guide a family through this process step by step. These types of discussions could identify that a farming business is looking for opportunities to expand or diversify, but equally it might highlight the need to reduce workload or step back from the day-to-day farm management. In these situations, working with our farm business consultancy team, we can identify all of the options open to a client as to how they manage their farm going forward. This would mean looking at contract farming agreements and farm business tenancies, as well as potentially selling all or part of the farm. Under a contract farming agreement, you remain the farmer and in management control with some exposure to risk, as opposed to a farm business tenancy agreement where you just simply let the land out and receive a rent. There are pros and cons of both of these options, and we will help work through all of those with you, looking at your objectives and exactly what the family wants to achieve. In summary, whether it's practical issues of how or when the next generation take control of a farm or business, whether it's estate planning or dividing or restructuring a business, or even contemplating retirement, in my experience, it's very easy to put and leave all of these things on the too difficult pile. Let's use this time of change in the industry to think about change in your farming business. It's a good time with high land values, tax rates still historically low, and strong farming balance sheets to start this discussion. And we can steer you through it step by step.